The GallowgateShots podcast is sponsored by Tyre Spot, the North East's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode.
Hi everybody, welcome back to the GallowgateShots YouTube and podcast channel. We are back with another match preview after the Cup heroics midweek. Can we say heroics after that performance? I'm saying it.
Of course.
We beat Forest for the first time in penalty. Well, not for us, but first time in penalties in like 70 years or whatever it is. So yeah, I'm saying heroics. We turn our attentions back to the Premier League, back to what we're all here for. It's for the Spurs game at home. I'm Scott. I'm your host for this one, as always. And we are back with Daryl, Andy, and Joe. Boys, we're going to jump straight into this one. It's on Sunday. It's a 1:30 p.m. kickoff at St. James's Park. It's Tottenham Hotspur at home. We all love a Tottenham game at home because we all know what happens. Lots of goals, lots of fun. Hopefully goals for Newcastle. But we'll talk about that in a minute. It's also live on Sky for those of us who don't get to the games or who didn't win the ballot, like myself. Hello, I'm not going to be in the country or in my country where I am at the minute because I'm on holiday. So there we go. I'll be watching it with a beer in the hand and
don't burgle this house
on my feet. Don't burgle my house. Although we talk about this on Canny Chatter. If you haven't listened or seen Canny Chatter yet, we talked about that already. Bit of a wild tangent, but there you go. I know it's only 2 games in, but why not? Spurs are 5th in the league on 4 points. They're 1 position above us on goal difference. I mean, what does that even mean? 1 win and 1 draw, 5 goals scored and 1 conceded. They're on a +4 goal difference, although they did play pretty well last week. It was against Everton. So
it's Everton, man.
There we go. And they did concede a late goal against Leicester, I believe it was, wasn't it? When they were the 1-1 draw. So who knows what's going to happen at the weekend? I think they're probably hot and cold. Maybe it's a little bit like us, although I think we've been quite cold of late. So we'll see what happens. As always, I've got some commentator stats before we'll get into the good stuff. Newcastle have won 3 of their last 4 Premier League meetings with Spurs, as many as their previous 13, actually, which was 8 defeats and 2 draws. 3 of our last 5 victories against Spurs have been victories by at least a 4-goal margin. I'll try and read properly this week as well. Sorry. Yeah, so a 4-goal margin for 3 of the last 5. So when you come to your predictions later on, I know I said this last time as well, but when you come to your predictions, don't let that sway your decisions by any chance. We've been accused of being drinking the Newcastle Kool-Aid in the comments, but 5-6-0, whatever you want to pick, I won't judge anybody. Tottenham have lost their last 2 Premier League away games against Newcastle by an aggregate score of 10-1. So again, don't let this influence your predictions.
I'm already influenced.
Sorry.
I'm already influenced. It's too late.
Before that, they'd only lost 2 of the previous 11 visits to St. James's with 6 wins and 3 draws. Newcastle v Tottenham is the most played fixture in Premier League history to never finish 0-0. That's 58 games. So again, don't let that sway your decision either. Wow, I'm influencing every prediction here. Only Liverpool v Tottenham on 191 goals and Arsenal v Liverpool on 190 goals have seen more goals than this in the competition than Newcastle v Tottenham on 186 goals. I've said goals a lot there. Well, there have been 34 goals in the last 7 meetings alone between the 2 sides, which is 4.9 goals per game. I'm going to stop saying goals now. Am I going to stop saying goals? I am going to stop saying goals. Final one from me. Newcastle have scored at least once in each of their last 20 Premier League home games. We've only done that once previously, or we've only increased on that once previously with a score streak at St. James's Park in the competition, which is 24 games between January 1995 and February 1996. And breathe. Breathe. Right, I'm going to shut up for a bit. Andy, we all know what Spurs are like, but they have finally replaced Harry Kane with another person with a glass ankle. In Dominic Solanke. Tell us all about Spurs. What do we know about them? Apart from the concede, what was it, 38 goals or something? I can't even remember what I read out. There you go.
I think you should read all of those
That's just
stats again.
against
They were
us.
that good. Yeah, I feel
They
like
were good
most.
for us.
Yeah, definitely. Spurs are weird because obviously they've got this sort of aura about them now with Ange Ball, of them being heavy metal football. They'll score 100 goals and concede 100 goals, and I've wanted to try and find the stats to back that up, but I can't really find them. So I don't know whether it's just the stats don't really match up with how they play or what it is, but. Obviously, they played 2 games, went away to Leicester, and sort of flattered to deceive. Looked really good in patches, but then kind of tailed off, and then absolutely just demolished Everton at home. Completely embarrassed them. It could have been a cricket score. But then when you look at the league table from last year, that's kind of how their season was. When you just look at the stats at home, they were blowing everyone away, and then they were going away and just tailing off, and it was really sort of odd. So when you look at the table last year, at home, scored 38, conceded 27, whereas away, scored 36, conceded 34. So you can see it's maybe the high attacking football isn't quite paying off away from home because of the conceding goals at the other end. So I think that it's a bit of a hard game to predict because we know Spurs can turn up and destroy anyone on the day.
Yeah.
But away from home, and obviously we saw it last season at our place, they can sometimes just be off the boil for whatever reason, and you see Ange on the touchline absolutely furious. So another team this season where we're going to say it's really hard to predict, but I certainly think the fact we're at home is going to play a massive advantage in this one, not just for us but for Spurs as well.
Yeah, I think another player that seems to be, I mean, I know it's 2 games in, so we can't really draw too much of a conclusion yet, Joe, but Heung-min Son seems to be getting his groove back, and he seems to be playing and enjoying his football again, where last season didn't really appear to be enjoying, although he was still scoring, he was still getting his assists and that, but I don't know, he seemed to miss Harry Kane a bit last season, and it was showing a bit, and he seems to be getting back into the swing of things.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, without Harry Kane, I think it's the first time, well, obviously it would have been the first time that he played on that side without Kane, so it would take a little bit of time for him to adapt, but now that I think Brennan Johnson has looked quite good for them, especially in the early stages against Everton. He looked really lively, and obviously, I know he's injured now, but you've got Solanke coming in now, who's able to take in that role of a number 9. Son has always been so good at those run-ins behind, and it's always a worry when we notoriously play quite a high line and we try and press. I haven't seen it as much this season, so I don't know how that's going to work. I mean, obviously, Hall and Tino do tend to go forward, and Dan Burn and Kraft are not the most mobile centre-backs, and that kind of worries me a bit because it makes me think all it takes is one counter-attack and you're really up against it. He's always a threat. He's always a threat, and he's going to be their biggest threat easily. And it'd be interesting to see how Maddison actually plays alongside him now. He struggled a bit last season. He got injured for a bit, but he's back on the side now. Be interested to see how he deals with the midfield. So we've got to really shut them down and keep them quiet and stop those runs in behind. So don't know. Will we see our defense just maybe be a little bit more conservative and not overlapping and bomb forward too much? We'll see. But yeah, if the goal's going to come from anywhere, it's going to be that bloke because he is one hell of a footballer.
Yeah, and another area, Daryl, where they've got a bit of pace is in defence with is it Van der Ven he's called?
Van der Ven.
The breakdancing Dutchman that Isak had on his head spins. Obviously, he's probably going to want to put rights to a lot of wrongs that happened last season at St James's. But he had a great performance in the Euros. I remember him being pretty decent playing for the Netherlands in that competition. I haven't seen too much from this season, but I'm assuming he's hit the ground running. They seem to just have good players all over, and like Joe and Andy have both said, when they click, but when they fall, they do seem to fall like a deck of cards, and it's a catastrophe.
Yeah, I mean, you only have to look back to the game last season at St James's to see that. And I remember going into that game, a lot was made of handball at that time. It was really hyped up by the media and the TV. And then they turned up at St James's, and we just seemed to have an answer to everything that they were trying to pose on us in terms of their attack. I think the pace in their back line is a concern, because obviously if we try to counter them, they can recover. Whereas if they counter us, we will struggle to recover in that respect with Burn Craft, as Joe's just said. But again, when we came, it's probably already shown this season as well, when they played away to Leicester, that they struggled with Vardy's pace, and again conceded that late goal. And again, when in that game at St James's last season, they struggled with the pace of our attack, and we had Murphy, we had Isak, we had Gordon playing in that game, and Almiron as well for spells, and it was frightening for them. And I think because of the style of football that Archball is, it can leave them so open at the back when they all pile forward and start trying to press on a team, that there is space there to be exploited. Again, we've seen a couple of glimpses in the game against Forest where we can move the ball very quickly and progressively up the pitch. Especially that's helped by the return of Sandro Tonali, who had a pivotal role in that very first goal after just 18 seconds on Wednesday night. So that we do have the capabilities to break these teams open and to really press on them on a counter-attack.
Yeah, I mean, we'll turn our attentions to us, Andy. Obviously, performances haven't been great, but the results have been there. And you'd like to think, we've ground out the results, but maybe's winning that shootout midweek has maybe's got the lads a bit more galvanized. You kind of saw Bruno kind of grab that. I want to say, I don't know if he can grab a penalty shootout by the scruff of the neck, but he kind of grabbed the whole team by the scruff of the neck and just was like, "Come on, we can do this." And he kind of
Nick Pope after he scored.
Dragged everyone. Yeah, he did, didn't he? And
Save it.
I don't know, it kind of got some spirit back in the team. You kind of felt like it was just kind of something happened, and hopefully they can take that into this game and build on it. Obviously, we lost Joe Willock, and we don't know how bad that is, but it's not looking good. I don't know. Do you think we can pull off a performance against Spurs, or do you think we have to be very cautious, given that Shaw's not back yet either? So the defense is going to be Kraft and Byrne at centre back.
Yeah, I think just on the first point about sort of galvanising the team, that was a worry of mine. I think obviously the performances haven't been there, and sometimes you can look at the manager and say, yeah, tactically wasn't great, but there's been mitigation in both of those league games so far. Obviously, the early red card, and then the other game being obviously away from home, it's always tricky. So you've always got that mitigation. And likewise in the cup, you think it's an early cup round, you just need to get through. We haven't really had that. We haven't been up against a team that we would sort of call our competition these days yet. So it'll be interesting to see how we react to that, because you would argue that all the games so far are games that we as fans would say that we should win. Not that we're entitled, but just like the way the club is now, that's what we would expect from them. But I was worried at one point that maybe people's heads had turned and maybe they weren't fully behind Howe. But I think when we saw that penalty shootout and we're seeing all the love they're giving each other on social media, they are all still 100% behind the project and behind the team. And that's been good to see. I think it's a good omen that we've been pretty dire for most of the games, but found a way to get through. So when we do turn it on, hopefully, it takes a game like this for the team to give themselves a big kick, and we can do it. And then just when you mentioned there about Willock, yeah, I really hope that was just precautionary, because the poor lad looks like an absolute world beater, but just has legs made of cheese. I just feel so sorry for him. And just going back to the Spurs point, you look at Pedro Porro and his positioning as the right back. He basically stands up front half the time they have the ball, and then Willock on that left-hand side of midfield driving forward on a transition with Gordon. That's potentially a massive area we can exploit, and if he's not there, then we're potentially struggling. But yeah. Things are looking all right.
They're not looking too bad. I don't think it's as doom as gloom as maybe NUFC Twitter would have you believe. Joe,
shock.
I want to take a little look at our back line, because obviously we've mentioned the centre backs, but there's a big question to be asked about the wing backs or the full backs or whatever we want to call them, whatever position they're going to be. Obviously, Kieran Trippier today announced his retirement from international football. He started midweek. Do you think he started midweek because Tino comes straight back into the squad, into the starting 11, at the weekend and he was being rested, or do you think it's down to performances, or how do you think that pans out? And then on the other side, does Hall come straight back in? Do you think it's Kelly that's going to start? How do you think that's going to look? Obviously, Chris will do a full lineup video before the Spurs game, but
yeah, this is. I mean, it is a difficult one because logically you would think that Trippier starting midweek means that Tino would start on the weekend just for rotation. However, we know that he's trying to get Trippier back up to speed minutes-wise and fitness-wise. So does that mean that he is building up to start again, or is he just doing the standard, rotation with Tino being our starting right back? I mean, I will say that when he came on for the Bournemouth game, we were a better team. We looked a little bit more composed, a bit more threatening. I do love Tino. I think he's a great young player, and I think he's got such a good future with the club. And obviously having him in would be fantastic. I've got no problems with him. I just think that that Trippier is, when he's on form, which is most of the time, he had a bit of a bad spell last season, but who didn't? I just think we're a much better side with Trippier in. So to answer your question, I don't know. But
having said that, Tino looked really good when he came on against Forest.
He did. Well, that's the thing. They're both good players. Right, if I'm going to put money on it, I'd say that Tino would start simply because of the fitness in the minutes. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if we see Trippier coming back in. It all depends, because I think that we're not looking at the same defense that we used to know. And so I think perhaps having Trippier in as that stalwart veteran defender might be just something that we need right now, just to tighten us back up at the back, at least until the likes of Botman and Cher come back into the fold. And then that gives the likes of Tino a bit of license to go forward. And it's the same argument with Hall. I still think that Hall, will he start? I'd like to see him start, because I wasn't really convinced with Kelly at left back. He looks like a centre-back. I think they spoke about it on the match reaction against Bournemouth. He looks like a centre-back, like Burn. He doesn't look like quite a left-back. I know he can play there and has played there, but for all of Hall's sins and that he hasn't had a great start of the season, I want him to get more minutes and I want him to gel in more with the team, because at the end of the day, he's going to be our starting left-back for potentially years to come, unless, it really doesn't work out. So let's just keep him in there, bet him in. Let him make mistakes, but learn from the mistakes and just commit to him being our left back. So I'd like to see that. It all depends on fitness and what Howe thinks. Obviously, it's on a Sunday, not Saturday. It gives us an extra day. So, yeah, I'd like to see Hall and I'd like to see Trippier in there. That's what I would think. But I think, who knows?
I suppose the other thing with Tino is he has just received his first international cap as Trippier's
that's
retired.
it. Yeah.
It's like a revolving door for Newcastle right backs with England. So one goes out, one comes in. So, he'll be brimming with confidence. So maybe it's just the perfect time to play Tino.
Yeah.
So we can, he's like, I want to show this England interim manager what I can do and, cement my place, because he's up against Kyle Walker for that position. Because is Reece James still injured? I think he probably is.
He's always injured, man.
He's always injured.
He's never not.
He's never not. So, I think that place is up for grabs. Daryl, mate, obviously we saw Tonali make his return midweek, and I think all of us, I don't think anyone really forgot, but we didn't realize just how good Tonali was. And I think, Andy, you put in our group chat, and I think I replied to you as well, just how good was Tonali and the passes he was playing. And it was only 60 minutes of football. I'm not getting carried away here, but we missed that almost like maestro.
Let's get carried away. Let's do it.
Well, no, but we've missed.
He might be the best Newcastle midfielder of all time.
Yeah,
I think he is.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to get too carried away, but yes, okay. Does he just stay starting that midfield straight away for you, or does he get bedded in? Is the midweek League Cup a slightly different pace and competition to the Premier League, and is he going to maybe start on the bench this one for you, or does he just keep based on the performance, does he keep his spot? That's what I'm trying to ask you by using way too many words.
Yeah, I think, we've already seen that it's the same sort of situation as Trippier, isn't it? It's just about getting those minutes in. So for me, I wouldn't start him against Spurs, but it's also such a good bonus to have him as an option to come on to get like half an hour towards the end of the game, maybe. You're right as well that we did we don't realise how good of a player he was until he was gone, and then he comes back, and the way he looked after the ball last night, the passes and the movement and the link-up play that he had with Miggy on the right, and also the little balls into that channel, and the first time movement as well. And we saw it in the build-up to that first goal last night. Straight, got the ball turned straight through into Miggy. Miggy with a one-touch through onto Isak, and then we're away. And he should have scored himself as well not long after. So it's really good to see him get back into it. And again, we talked about it, I think, last week, about the match sharpness and the match fitness. It's going to take him a little bit of time to get back up to speed in that respect. But by all means, let's have him as a positive option off the bench. Do you reckon he's already there?
I think he already is.
He's not far off.
I think it was just from a sports science point of view, it was come off at 60 minutes, but I think he's there already.
Halfway through that first half, he looked to be a bit flagging. He did get a second win, but he was flagging a bit halfway through that first half.
To be fair, we're used to seeing players come back like this from an injury, not a ban. So it's a slightly different kettle of fish. Obviously,
he's been training though. It's not like he was. It wasn't like a Tony ban. Where he was not able to do anything.
No, I think he'll come back a lot quicker than we're used to seeing players come back. Yeah.
If Willock's injured as well, he has to play, doesn't he? Because someone needs to take that technical burden off Bruno. He cannot do it all on his own.
I'll tell you what, I'm so looking forward to seeing how he balances that right-hand side. And I know I might be skipping ahead here, but I really want Barnes on that right. I really want him on that right. He was cutting in so well on Wednesday. And I think it just complements going on the left-hand side perfectly. The through passes that Tonali was playing to get between the centre-back and the full-back, it wasn't quite clicking just because, still getting used to that style and everything. But all due respect to Longstaff, he doesn't do that. And I think we're going to see a massive difference with Tonali on that right-hand side for sure. And it was nice, actually, what I did notice, just to quickly finish up on, is that we saw him interchange quite well with Bruno, with that number 6 role and number 8 role. And if you remember, when Bruno first came into the club, he was kind of playing on the right-hand side because you had that triangle, didn't you, of Miggy, Trippier and Bruno. And Tonali can perhaps enable that and just playing in between. So we might see a bit more fluidity and give Bruno a bit more license to go forward. I think it's just a great option to have, and hopefully it gives us another dimension, because I think we've argued quite a bit that we're a bit predictable at the minute. And we'll see.
We will see, and we'll see on Sunday what happens. But there's obviously one other massive talking point about what's going to happen on Sunday, and not what's going to happen, but who's going to call the shots on Sunday, and who's going to be that person in light blue, green. I don't know what colour they're going to wear.
Pink.
Pink. Yeah, the fluorescent orange. I don't know. Whatever colour they wear this season. All the lycra. It's horrible, the referee kits. But Daryl, mate, ref watch. Give with the haps on the stats, as they say back in the early 90s.
Well, so the man in the middle on Sunday is going to be Merseyside's own Robert Jones. Now, 5 Newcastle United games for the man last season. All 3 games that we played Man United in, and that's the away win in the League Cup, the defeat at Old Trafford in the league, and then the 1-0 win at St James's. We also saw him in the game at the Etihad when we lost 1-0 to Man City. And then we also saw him in what can only be described as a tin pot game, the 4-3 win over West Ham at St James's Park. Now, as we all know, that game was absolutely chaotic, and Harvey Barnes popped up at the end to get 2 late goals to win it for us. And it's fair to say that there's been a lot of action in a lot of the games that he did with us last season, probably bar the Man City one, which was quite a conventional, low-scoring game. But his stats for last season, he did 22 games in the whole of last season in the Premier League, 101 yellow cards and 5 reds. And also, he's already done 2 games this season. He's been involved every match week so far this season, dishing out 7 yellow cards in the 2 games that he's done, and no reds. And the VAR in the middle up at Stockley Park is Stuart Atwell.
He's not bald, Robert Jones, is he?
He's not, but he's a tosser.
Okay, good.
Oh, well, there you go then. So maybe is he a tosser or is he not? We'll add that to the end.
He said he was in the West Ham game, that's for sure.
They all are, aren't they? Because they do a coin toss at the beginning. So
Well,
there you go,
they all-
yeah.
way.
God's
Oh, you
sake.
get it all. Oh, wait, Joe, man, give us something.
End on
It's 2 days before my holiday, man. I'm on holiday mode.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll come to our predictions. Joe, because of that, I'm coming to you first. How does that feel? You've dug your own grave there.
Fine.
What's your predictions for this
Well,
one, mate?
Well, I've already got mine locked in. Oh, there's goals in this
Oh.
game. There is definitely going to be goals. Against Leicester, they did look so leaky and they nearly lost it, towards the end. And obviously, we've got personal with shipping a few past them. But with the way that we've started, I'm normally quite optimistic. However, I do just worry. I've not seen anything so far that gives me a hope that we're going to repeat the same results of the last couple of seasons. I still think we've got goals in us. We're at home. It's normally a fortress, but I'm going to say we'll lose this one 3-2. I hope I'm wrong because I'm going to it. I really do.
Oh.
But I'm going to
Scum.
predict a loss here.
Oh,
I know.
cut me deep.
Dear me.
Shoot me now.
Oh,
My God.
Go on then,
Joe's
predict
not coming
wins and
back,
shut me up.
ladies and gentlemen.
What? No, please.
Wave
Come on.
goodbye
Right,
to
we're
Joe.
winning 7-0. Winning 7-0 is fine. It's
Oh,
fine.
no, it's fine. Blimey, I don't even know who to go to next. That's totally knocked us for 6. Daryl, mate. How we're going to get on?
well, I'm not going to be as optimistic as I have been in the last few, and I'm certainly not going to be as pessimistic as Joe. So I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw.
2-2 draw. Okay.
It's only a goal difference, man. Come on.
It's still a point, though.
Yeah, but it's a point difference, though, Joe. That's the difference.
I know.
Andy, what are you going for?
Well, Joe said he had no reason to think otherwise, and I have 4 words for him. Sandro, ole, ole, ole.
Oh,
No, I actually agree with Daryl. I think we're rubbish and they're good at the moment, but they're also rubbish away from home. So I just think
Yeah.
it'll balance out over time. I actually fancy them to start really strong, and I think we'll have a late surge. So I'm going to say score draw as well, 2-2.
2-2. Well, it's not going to be 0-0 because it's never finished 0-0, and we cannot book that trend. It cannot be a boring 0-0, and it's aggregate scores of 10-1, and what other scores have I got in this thing? 34 goals in the last 7 games. So I think I also thought it was going to be a score draw, but something tells me it's going to be 3-3. I think it is going to be high
Another
scoring.
City game.
It might even be 4-4. It might be that high, but I'm going to stick with 3-3. No, don't be silly, Joel. No, no. Yeah, I'm going to go 3-3. I agree with Andy. I think it'll be Spurs up. Maybe even go 2, maybe 3-1 or 3-0 up first half. I think they may try and blow us away like what we did to them last season.
Are you predicting near enough another Arsenal comeback? Not quite close enough.
We don't have Tiote these days.
No, we've got Tonali though.
It's going to be our team.
Oh, yeah.
Tonali can be a new team.
And I think it'll be a comeback to galvanise the home crowd. May even be a 4-3 victory comeback. No, we'll stick with a score draw. I'm drinking that Kool-Aid again. It's happening. I don't know what's in this can of Pepsi. No, yeah, I think 3-3 draw. Yeah, I'll stick with that.
So after being called unrealistic, we're now going to get called miserable gits.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We'll be in the comments there saying,
Make your mind ups.
Yeah,
Mine's up.
To be fair, I think we're all pretty much within a goal, within in of each other, aren't we? Near enough. It's going to be a good game either way. So
I think it's a toss of the coin who's going to win this one for me.
And
it depends who turns
home
up.
is normally, and at home we're a different beast. We're normally a different beast at home. So
if it was a 5:30 kickoff on a Sunday, do they do 5:30 kickoffs on Sunday? They do, don't they?
4:30
kickoffs.
High for your time.
I'd back us straight away to win. Or if it was the later kickoff, I'd back us because the crowd would have so much beer in them that it would be us winning. But the fact it's a 1:30 kickoff, what time is the stack open? 11. I don't think it's. I don't think the crowd's going to get that rowdy.
Cheers, yeah, open.
So yeah, I just don't think. I don't think St James's will be as jumping because it's a 1:30 kickoff. Just I don't know. Maybe
I'll try
I'll be wrong. I hope I'll be wrong.
Me and Dasmo, the leaders then. Come on, Dasmo.
Yeah.
It's your first game there as well.
Oh,
isn't
there's
it,
3 of
Gazmo,
us in the
this
Lasers End. Can we actually get the
Oh,
Lasers
God.
End singing, please? That would be great.
Yeah.
Sounds ole,
Well,
ole, ole.
season? First from the Leeds End Choir, they're going to start the singing in the Leeds End.
Yes.
We'll wrap this one up, boys. Let us know in the comments below what you think your predictions are going to be. If you're a Spurs fan and you're watching this, we've got a lot of Nottingham Forest fans in the comments for the last one. A lot of angry Nottingham Forest fans, but a lot of comments as well. Not too bad.
One
Done
of them
your
said he'd never
homework.
lost a
You're
penalty
not done your
shootout.
homework, Scott.
One of them said they never lost a penalty shootout, and then look what happened. So there we go. But if you're a Spurs fan watching this, let us know what you think. Let us know what you think your chances are, and let us know what your predictions are as well in the comments below. While you're down there, hit the little thumbs up button if you've liked it. Hit the thumbs down if you didn't. And if you want to, you can hit the subscribe button to let you know when more videos go live on the channel. And if you want to be notified when that happens, hit the little bell, and you'll get a little pop-up on your phone or your iPad or whatever it is you've got. That you've got YouTube installed on. If you want to go one step further, you can become a member. It's $2.99 a month. Gets you early access to videos like this, as well as exclusive content and access to podcasts like Canny Chatter, which we recorded earlier this week. You get that as video access only if you're a member, with extra 30 minutes of content, although this week's was 1.5 hours anyway, and you get an extra 30 minutes on top of that. So what more could you ask for? Boys, thanks very much for this. It's what, 5 to 9 for me, 5 to 8 for you boys. So let's get out of here. Thanks very much, everyone, for listening. We'll see you all in the next one. I'm off on my holidays. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bon voyage.
Bye, everybody. See you later. I nearly hit the
Bye.
wrong button there. I nearly just shut my entire room down. Bye, everyone. See you later.